with our Phoenix. We released a new Phoenix last year. It's 204 millimeters of travel. It was actually the previous carbon version to this was the first 27.5 carbon downhill bike on the market, and we released that 2 years ago. Last year, through input with our downhill World Cup team, we made some significant changes to tire clearance, frame stiffness, lighten the bike up quite a bit. It's the bike that our Pivot Factory DH team races. I've had some incredible World Cup finishes on this bike this year, and it continues to impress people. It's got all the typical downhill stuff as far as travel and 157 millimeter spacing. It's we use the Fox Float X2 air fork on it. A couple of the things that are really unique about the bike is just the overall stiffness of the frame and lightness of the bike. So our World Cup team bikes are sitting at about 33 pounds. We've built bikes as low as 29 pounds that are completely raceable. And then we really focus on the stiffness of the chassis as well. So the size of the linkage, the size of the bearings, the way everything is linked and hooked together. So the uprights on the swing arm, just the burliness of the entire structure of the bike. Everything's as wide and compact as it can possibly be to make sure that there's just no twist or movement in the frame. And then very efficient carbon chassis. As far as the technology, we use a process called hollow core internal molding process, and it basically ensures that there are no wrinkles or voids on the inside of the frame. It uses hard forms on the inside to make sure that the inside of the frame looks as good as the outside of the frame, which basically means that we can use less material, we can optimize the material, and we can build a lighter, stronger chassis. The downhill bike also features long and low geometry, so we're pretty much standard for chainstay lengths to where 26-inch wheel bikes were, but we've gone to a much longer front center and slacker head angle, lower bottom bracket. Basically what all the top World Cup riders are running today. What makes it unique, however, is when you're looking at a pivot frame size, every C-tube on the downhill bike is the same length and every head tube is the same length. So you can essentially buy your downhill bike based on reach measurement. And then we've got our own stem with a couple of different 30 and 40 millimeter offset options depending on which reach that you're going with. We have a plus/minus 3/4 degree headset, so you can adjust geometry on the bike as well. And then there's a lot of flexibility with the fork height to change angles even more significantly, as well as bottom bracket height. So this is the new Firebird. We released this 2 weeks ago at Crankworks. The bike is really meant to be the next level pro enduro bike. We have our model called the Mach 6, which is a 155 millimeter travel bike, and that's what a lot of advanced trail riders and our pro enduro riders have been riding for the last couple of years. But particularly in a lot of the race courses in Europe, some of the steeper courses where they're actually racing on World Cup downhill terrain, we felt that we needed to develop something even a little bit more extreme. So the new Firebird is 170 millimeter travel front and rear. It's got a 65 degree head angle and 430 millimeter chainstays with the longest front end geometry that we've ever done. It's right in there with some of the longer bikes on the market. 74 degree seat angle. Uses the Fox Float X2 on the majority of our builds, and basically meant to be a bike that you can ride anywhere. The top end build with XTR 1x is got in the Reynolds carbon wheels, comes in at 12.7 kilo complete. So it's a very lightweight bike, and with the short chain stays and the DW Link suspension design, the Firebird climbs like our Mach 6. It'll go places that you would never expect a 170 millimeter travel bike to go. And at a sub 13 kilo weight, you've got a lot of flexibility. When it comes time to descending, it falls pretty close to the Phoenix in its downhilling capabilities. It uses a larger head tube up top, so you actually have room for an angle type headset if somebody wants to play with their geometry even more, but the bike is very stable at the 65-degree head angle and with the long front center. It's just like we discussed on the downhill bike. It uses the same type of technology in the carbon and then also in the back end of the bike, where the rear triangle is extremely burly. Because of the shorter chainstays on this bike, this is actually the stiffest model that Pivot has ever produced. Much shorter lower length than what we have on the Phoenix bicycle, which with 430mm chainstays, and then the same burly type of upper linkage as we have on the downhill bike. 180mm post mount on the rear matches up with the 180 post mount on the Fox 36, so it gives you everything you need to perform at a high level. The new Switchblade is one of the most significant new products for us because we've brought a lot of new innovation to the category and developed some new things that weren't previously possible in really 29er trail bikes or plus bikes. One of the things that we've done on the bike is we've actually taken the spacing from Boost to a 157mm rear spacing that we've kind of jokingly named Super Boost Plus, because it's not just a 157mm drivetrain. We've actually taken the rear hub flanges and spread them out in the same concept as Boost, where you get the wider hub flanges. We've done some testing with DT Swiss. We worked with both i9 and DT Swiss on the new hub standard, and it basically, if you take a standard 142x12 29-inch wheel, that's your baseline. A Boost wheel with the same rim is 16% stiffer at the rim. The Super Boost Plus hub is 48% stiffer. So huge increase in stiffness, but also the spread in the back end has allowed us to move everything else out. The cranks are the same cranks that you would be using on any 142 or 148 rear end bike, so standard 168 Q factor cranks, but where Boost moved the chainring out 3mm, this moves the chainring out 6mm. So we maintain good chain line without any sacrifice to Q factor on the bike, and so that's why we've named the system Super Boost Plus. What it's allowed us to do, gives us a lot more clearance. We were able, this bike has, I believe, 427mm chainstays, shortest chainstays for any plus bike in the market. And when we look at the plus bike in just a moment, you'll see it's got, even with the plus tires, it's got monster tire clearance. It'll actually fit up to 3.4-inch 27.5 plus tires on the bike. The combination has allowed us to build a bike frame that's both stiffer, has a shorter rear end. It's allowed us to put more into the reach of the bike, and you get a 29er 135mm rear 150 front trail bike, whether you're running it in plus or 29-inch, that really allows the bike to handle like a full 27.5 bike. With the short rear end, you get that immediate pop over rocks, logs. The bike manual's really easy. But then the rollover of the bigger wheels is incredible, and of course with the plus wheels, the traction that you get as well is amazing. One of the other things that we've done on the bike is with the geometry change. The 27.5 plus wheels are a smaller diameter than the 29-inch wheels, so every bike actually gets shipped with 2 headset cups. One of them is 17mm greater than the other one, and that makes up for the bottom bracket height difference that results from the 2 different wheels. And people can actually use that as a tuning option. So sometimes with the 29-inch wheels, if somebody's riding more aggressive enduro, the 17mm cup gives you even more bottom bracket clearance, but also slackens the head angle by about 1/2 degree, and gives a more stable ride on the bike also. All Pivot models of this bike come with the Fox 36 fork. They will clear up to 3-inch plus tires. It's the 36 diameter stanchions are really appropriate to to more aggressive riders on the 29 and 27.5 plus wheels. The Float X2 is, the Float DPS is custom tuned to this, although for more aggressive riders we do offer a Float X2 as an upgrade option. With the 157 Super Boost Plus, we have Industry 9 and DT Swiss that we've worked with on this design. However, SRAM with their new XO hubs have also spread the flanges to have similar type system. And then the new Stans wheels on their 157 hub, they've also followed the same standard, and Sun Ringway will be doing the same shortly. With the crank set, you can actually run with a race face crank the turbine or the Effect SL, and instead of having to have a custom chainring or different offset part, with those two models you can actually just flip the chainring over, and